You may have noticed it's fairly chilly here in Paris, but it's about to get a lot hotter in this room because the next conference is actually a keynote address called Playing to Win in the Long Crypto Summer Ahead. To talk about this, we'll have Paul R. Brody from EY on the long-term vision for crypto. And personally, I love his t-shirt. Let's give him a warm round of applause. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. I've got about 10 minutes, and at the end of this 10 minutes, I hope that you will be way more bullish and optimistic about where we are headed in this market. You will have an understanding of what you should be doing to enter this market and where the risks are. So let me go ahead and get started. I am incredibly optimistic, and I'm particularly optimistic because one of the things that I see happening going forward is that this market is accelerating, but it's accelerating towards a really positive destination. And if I were to give you a simple summary, which is this: the future of TradFi, of DeFi, of real-world assets is standard tokens on the public Ethereum blockchain. And let me talk about why I think that's going to happen. Basically, the conventional wisdom about how this market is going to evolve is pretty much, in my opinion, all wrong. So the conventional wisdom that we've heard from people over the last few years is, oh, we're going to live in a world of a multi-chain architecture. The regulators are going to require us to have permission systems. That compliance is going to be deeply integrated into the system, so we're going to have these like very complex smart contracts that are able to really understand who or what's going on. There's going to be somewhat limited interoperability because we're really not going to have bearer assets. And there's going to be some mix of stable coins, CBDCs, and traditional fiat currencies and tokenized deposits in the ecosystem. I think pretty much all of these assumptions are wrong. And the reason I think they're wrong is because, especially in 2024, we had three enormous shifts in the market that pointed to a very different direction. It pointed to a world of standard tokens, stable coins running on public Ethereum, with the core of the network being decentralized. The first one is MiCA, this Markets in Crypto Assets Act in the European Union. MiCA basically legalizes and structures around cryptocurrencies and stablecoins. Very importantly, it allows and really creates a legal framework to transact and use bearer tokens on public Ethereum, right? And it also means that compliance is allowed at the on-ramp. You don't have to write. MiCA does not require companies to write their compliance deeply into smart contracts. Compliance has to be done at the on-ramp, like the crypto exchange or the bank. Secondly, hugely important, and very few people paid attention to this, the Tornado Cash legal decision in the United States is a really, really big deal. It basically says governments cannot sanction software, or at least the US government cannot sanction software. And that is hugely important to a firm like Ernst & Young, EY. Many of you don't know this, but we are a massive investor in blockchain privacy technology. We built an Ethereum layer 2, which is deployed. It's called Nightfall. It's in version 3 now. Version 4 will be, it's actually in our private beta test. Nightfall is a zero-knowledge proof-based privacy protocol that's designed for enterprise users. And I can honestly tell you, I don't think developers would do well in prison. So I'm super excited about the Tornado Cash decision. But it unlocks a lot of new use cases for the enterprise. And then lastly, the US election. Donald Trump himself he's an investor in World Liberty Financial. He has standard tokens on public Ethereum. They're getting ready to offer DeFi services, right? They are not building a fancy compliance layer. They are not building like some complicated token structure. They are going to offer stable coins and DeFi services that run as bearer tokens. The implications of this, I think, are really positive. Number one, it's going to go faster. Right, standard tokens on public Ethereum in a fundamentally decentralized network is much faster and easier to implement than some very complicated semi-permission chain with all of these different sort of things in it. Right, so it's a faster evolution. It is a deeper convergence between traditional finance and DeFi. the banks are not going to be favored by the Trump administration. It's very clear the Trump administration, the Treasury Secretary, they are going to be friendly to the crypto natives. They are not going to provide a lot of regulatory air cover for the banks. Now, optimistically, I also think they are going to do something for the banks, which is they are going to allow them to enter the stablecoin and crypto markets on relatively equal terms. They're going to adjust the regulations. Today, the regulations still basically make it difficult for banks to enter this space between the Basel regulations and the money laundering regulations and the sort of general prohibition on bearer instruments. It's hard for banks to enter and do the things that crypto natives are doing. I do think that will change. But it also, permissionless systems are going to be much more competitive. Nobody knows yet how to build a true, defensible moat in a permissionless, standardized token environment with lots of interoperability, right? Uniswap is great. They're an incredibly effective decentralized exchange. They don't really have a moat. They have to stay competitive and keep deploying new versions on a regular basis. We haven't seen any evidence that anybody really knows how to make a really defensible moat, right? The market space in this area is becoming more and more competitive. The net of that, all of this, is that if you just think about the blockchain ecosystem on a spectrum from sort of, let's say, more permissioned and controlled to more permissionless and competitive, the arrow is pointing with a large amount of direction in the area of permissionless and highly competitive. So, one of the arguments that I will be talking to, and am talking to about to a lot of EY clients right now, is that it is not going to be a good strategy to stay on the sidelines. There's a lot of data from the technology industry that says a couple of important things. Number one, it is really hard to catch up with market leaders once the market matures. And once your good customers leave, they tend not to come back. So if you're a bank or a traditional financial institution, you're thinking about real world assets and DeFi services, you have to get into this market now. You should not be waiting, right? Now, and to do that, the three messages I've delivered are, number one, accept some uncertainty. The truth is there's a big difference between knowing where we are going and all the rules already being written, right? You know, MiCA, all the rules are not fully finished yet, right? The US Treasury is busy rewriting the rules. We know probably where they're going to end up, but that's different than knowing actually all the details of the rules. Secondly, start now. Right? Some things are allowed. You need to start now. You need to be able offering some basic things like sell your customers ETH. If you can sell them nothing else, you can sell them ETH and Bitcoin. Right? I think in particular, some markets are really rapidly approaching their adoption sort of maturity point. I would not be surprised if a decade from now, Circle and Tether are still the two largest companies in the stablecoin business. It's really hard to catch up with market leaders. And then lastly, manage risk, right? We are in something of a high-risk carnival atmosphere, right? Meme coins, changing regulations, con artists, right? I know there's plenty of people in this industry who are disappointed that we didn't exactly bring out our best and finest people for some of the things that are going on, right? There's going to continue to be a lot of risk in this industry, and I would say it's super important to figure out how you're going to manage that risk. It's going to be a lot like the internet. There's going to be lots of bad actors. There's going to be the dark web. That's not going to prevent legitimate businesses from running very successful enterprises on the public blockchains. So there we go. I think I'm only I'm probably within my allowed time, given that we started late. So lastly, please buy my book. By the way, I think it's an awesome book. My mom says it's really good, and she's always right. It is, all the royalties go to Gitcoin. I do not get a single penny if you buy this book. Secondly, please, I am, in addition to running the EEY board, I am also the chairman of the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. We are Ethereum maxis, obviously. And then lastly, if you would like it, I have a proof of Paul. Every month I make a new NFT, which is minted for you and sent to you using EY's blockchain infrastructure on the Polygon Proof of Stake network. And EY Legal reminds me to remind you that this has no resale value. Thank you all. Ciao.